You pick up your phone to check one message. 40 minutes later, you are still scrolling. Nothing new has happened. Nothing good has happened. You are looking at strangers arguing, a disaster on the other side of the world, a stranger's bad day turned into content for people who will never meet them. You feel worse than before you started. Your shoulders are tight. Your jaw is clenched. And yet, your thumb keeps moving. Why? The easy answer is that the apps are addictive. That is true, but it is not the real answer. The real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do, using a system that is millions of years old, aimed at a threat that no longer exists. Picture your ancestors on the open savanna 40,000 years ago. Survival did not depend on strength alone. It depended on information. Who moved into the valley overnight? Where the predators were hunting? Which group was expanding into shared territory? A brain that noticed danger first and reacted fastest passed on its genes. A brain that ignored a rustling bush did not get a second chance. There was no room for a relaxed nervous system out there. Relaxation was a luxury paid for with risk. Psychologists call this negativity bias. In 2001, researcher Roy Baumeister and his colleagues published a paper with a blunt title, "Bad is Stronger Than Good." They found that negative events, negative emotions, and negative feedback affect people more powerfully and linger longer than positive ones of equal size. A single insult outweighs a dozen compliments. One car alarm outweighs an hour of birdsong. This is not pessimism. It is architecture, built into you long before you had a name for it. Your brain runs a constant background question. What could hurt me? For most of human history, the answer required scanning a physical landscape, a horizon, a tree line, a shadow that moved wrong. Today, the landscape is a feed, and unlike a horizon, a feed never runs out of new things to scan. Here is where it gets stranger. Your brain cannot fully tell the difference between a real threat and a described one. When you read about a flood in a country you will never visit, or an argument between two people you have never met, your amygdala, the almond-shaped alarm center buried deep in your brain, fires the same way it would if a predator stepped out of the grass in front of you. Cortisol rises, heart rate ticks up, attention narrows, pulling in tight around the one thing that feels urgent. Your body prepares you to survive something that was never actually near you and never will be. This is the trap. The scroll delivers threat after threat at a pace and volume your ancestors never faced in an entire lifetime. In the wild, a threat resolved. You saw the danger, you responded, it passed, your body came back down. Online, the danger never resolves. There is always another headline, always another clip, always one more comment that needs answering. Your alarm system stays lit, waiting for a resolution that the format itself is not built to provide. Neuroscientist and psychiatrist Judson Brewer has studied this loop directly. His research on habit formation describes a simple three-part cycle: a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. Anxiety is the trigger, scrolling is the behavior, and the reward, strangely, is relief. The brief sense that you are now informed, now prepared, now safe. But that relief fades within seconds. The anxiety returns, and the loop resets itself without asking your permission. You are not scrolling for pleasure. You are scrolling for the feeling of danger being managed, a feeling the feed is specifically shaped to never fully deliver, because a resolved user is a user who closes the app. There is a second force at work here, one even older than threat detection. Your ancestors were not solitary creatures surviving alone in the wild. Survival meant belonging to a group, and belonging meant tracking that group constantly. Who is in favor? Who is being quietly excluded? Where does the tribe stand today, and where do you stand inside it? Falling out of that loop was never a small risk. In small hunter-gatherer bands, exile from the group did not mean loneliness. It meant death, often within days. Psychologist Susan Fiske has spent decades researching social cognition, and her work points to a consistent finding. Humans are wired to prioritize social information above almost everything else, because for nearly all of human history, your survival was tied directly to your standing within a group. That instinct did not fade with modern life. It simply moved onto a screen, into a feed built entirely out of other people's status, opinions, and reactions. Every scroll is, on some level, a status check. Who is winning? Who is failing? Where do you stand, right now, in this exact moment? The feed answers a question your brain has been asking since long before written language existed. Combine these two ancient systems, threat detection and social monitoring, and you get a machine engineered, whether intentionally or not, to hold your attention with unsettling precision. Every outraged comment reads as a threat. Every viral post reads as a status update from the tribe. Your brain does not experience the feed as entertainment. It experiences it as vigilance. And vigilance, unlike enjoyment, is very difficult to simply walk away from, because walking away feels, to an ancient part of your brain, like looking away from danger. There is a reason this feels almost impossible to resist through willpower alone. Willpower is a relatively recent, effortful function, run largely by the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and long-term thinking. The alarm system you are fighting against is older, faster, and does not wait for permission from that part of your brain. By the time your prefrontal cortex registers the thought, "I should put this down," the alarm system has already pulled your thumb back to the screen a dozen times. You are not losing a fair fight. You are fighting a system that evolved specifically to win faster than conscious thought can intervene. Here is the twist that makes all of this even stranger. The feeling you get after doom scrolling, drained, uneasy, slightly worse about the world than you were 20 minutes ago, is not a malfunction of the system. It is the system working exactly as designed. You are reacting appropriately to a threat. The threat is simply artificial, endless, algorithmically selected, and never actually in the room with you. So, what does this mean for tonight, when you inevitably pick up your phone one more time before sleep, telling yourself it will only be a minute? It means the urge itself is not a personal failing. It is not weakness, and it is not proof that something is wrong with you specifically. It is a 40,000-year-old survival tool, mismatched with a 21st century tool built, deliberately, to exploit exactly that mismatch. Your ancestors' brains kept them alive by refusing to look away from danger. Yours is doing the same job, with the same intensity, in a body that has not had time to catch up to the world it now lives in. It just has no idea the danger it is watching for was never real, and was never going to arrive. You picked up your phone to check one message, and somewhere behind that simple, ordinary act, a survival system older than language itself is still standing guard, still scanning the horizon, still watching for a predator that stopped existing millions of years ago, in a world that has since learned exactly how to keep it watching.